Do you over prepare for the Oscars? Because that feels like a high pressure.
Yeah, I do. I'm so prepared that I'm not worried at all.
And what's the, is that the key to it? Because it feels like whenever you see people doing things in the, it's in the comedy realm, right? You're presenting, you're hosting, people go like, oh, would you want to do that? And I was like, fucking no way.
But
there's got to be, like, having done it, what would you advise someone to do who's going to do it?
Well, it's kind of a formula that I think I figured out from doing a lot of award shows. Like, I hosted the American Music Awards 5 times. I hosted the ESPYs with LeBron once. I hosted the Emmys a few times. I hosted a bunch of shit. So I kind of have figured it out. And it's just like, it's basically 10 minutes at the top and then 6 other bits throughout the show.
Okay.
And then you have to leave some room for improvisation or commenting on what's going on in the show. And if you can... You guys know, like, if you can mix, like, if you can come out and, on stage and you refer to, especially, this is actually a great, I think, bit of advice for a talk show guest. If you come out and you talk about something that just happened, something maybe that was in the monologue or the previous guest, the audience thinks everything is completely off the cuff.
Yeah.
Right.
None of this is, that's
like,
true.
oh, he's just riffing,
Yeah.
And I figured that out once when I was on Letterman, and they had stupid pet tricks, and the dog bit Letterman on the face. And Dave was bleeding during my segment. Like, his face was bleeding, which is not a usual thing on the show. And I did something about how I wanted to have that animal destroyed, and I went on whatever. And I pulled a wrinkled, crumpled tissue out of my pocket for Dave's face. That wasn't actually a joke. I just wanted to touch up the blood, but Dave didn't want my tissue on his face.
No, he passed it.
And then I realized, like, oh, all these jokes really work. You plan out the stuff when you're doing a talk show like that, especially Letterman, and they just felt natural.
Your show's like Letterman, in my opinion. Conan was like Letterman a little bit too, in that Letterman, when I did Letterman, they were like, you got 2 minutes with him. We don't know what he's going to say. So like even the pre-interview, which you give a ton of, he's got it all, but he goes up and he decides where it goes.
Right.
Which makes it so much more fucking fun. It's like you know where you could go, but it's not going to go there. You know what I mean? And I think that's what's fun. I know that's what I enjoy about doing your show.
Well, thank you. I think for me, I do, if there's material, I want to know what it is so I don't step on your punchline. Yeah. That's the thing. Because I know, like, sometimes you feel like a story might be over and it's not over, and I might move on to the next thing, and I don't want to fuck somebody up in that regard. So that's always in my head. That's the only reason I want to know. I'd prefer not to know anything, best case scenario, but because I want to make sure the guest tells their stories and gets their
that's very cool
laughs, that I want to know what the end is.
Were the other hosts cool to you when you got the show?
No, I'll answer that. I remember, this was my favorite story. I tell the story to everyone in Hollywood. Yeah. The thing that made Jimmy special was that your premiere got 3 million viewers that night, but it was 3 million viewers that no one else had. No one's numbers changed. He brought a brand new 3 million people to the show that were not watching fucking television. And all of a sudden you raised the bar, and then as his ratings grew, and 3 million is probably just the number I have in my head, but as your ratings grew, no one's numbers were changing, and he was bringing brand new people to the fucking show, and it didn't piss Letterman off, right?
Right. No,
it didn't piss Letterman off, but it pissed other people off.
Well, yeah, I had a whole thing with Leno during that time. It was like, it was.
You don't remember it?
Especially
I remember you doing what? Didn't you do the makeup? Like, did you do a Leno impression too?
I did, yeah. When Leno was I did a couple. Once when they had the OJ trial, I don't know if you remember, Leno testified in the OJ. No, Michael Jackson, sorry, not OJ. Michael Jackson trial. And E had a reenactment of the trial every day because, and by the way, I don't know why nobody's doing this with the Trump trial right now, but every day they'd have the trial, and the next day E would take the whole script from the trial, and they had actors playing every part. Right. And then you'd get to watch the Michael Jackson trial. Well, I knew Leno was coming up. I knew he was going to be he's going to be part of the, he's going to be called to the stand. And I said, let me play Leno on the thing. And so I played Leno. But yeah, I did it after the Conan thing. I played Leno one night.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about you, though, is that
I'm an asshole.
but when everyone was buttoned up, you had your opinion. Like, everyone was buttoned up, and you were the one guy that came out.
Well, I had no choice, really. I mean, the truth is, I was just like, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I'd never done stand-up in my life. I'd always been with another guy, always with Adam or with Ben Stein, running through or just doing sports shit on Fox, and I just had no choice. I just kind of had to figure it out. But if you do look back at those shows, they're absolutely terrible. I mean, there's nothing good about them. Like if I get like 2 good laughs in the course of an hour, I'd be like, we had a pretty good show tonight.
Yeah, but that show was wild when you started because
it was crazy.
Wild.
There was that part of it was fun, but it was so inconsistent. And also sometimes I think people tend to remember, like even watching Johnny Carson, like, what do you remember? You remember like the guy throwing the hatchet and you remember, like the highlights you remember, but you don't remember that like horrible Wednesday night when you had, like the host of Are You Hot or Not on, and like Lorenzo Lamas is your fucking lead guest.
Yeah.
And, I didn't even write the monologue. I just went out there and just talked about stuff. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. And the show was live too, so there was no editing.
That's right.
If something went badly, it went badly. That was it.
I was at a taping of your show when the Roots were a musical guest.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is obviously like way before they're not like, they're known, but they weren't like, not everybody knew the Roots.
Right.
And I remember like Questlove had a camcorder, like he was like recording everything, like they were like so excited to be there. Cause I had like some pass where I could like stand and watch them. I thought that was so cool to see them excited to be there.
Yeah, well, they were in the minority for sure. A lot of the celebrities didn't know who I was and didn't know why they were there. And we also used to have a
guest host.
I
remember that.
And sometimes the guest host was much more famous than I was. And the celebrities wouldn't even talk to me. My own guests would get in a conversation with the guest host. And I'd be kind of like, they felt like a party, where I'd just be standing in the corner quietly while they had a conversation.
That's hilarious.
But you had a bar that everyone went to. And
we still have the bar. The bar is
but no one parties there. Like I did your show probably, I couldn't even tell you what year it was, but it had to be before I had kids. It was before I had kids. It would be the 2003 or 2. I did stand up on your show. I fucking murdered. I did such a good set. And then went back to that bar and drank pretty much by myself. Like everyone was back there, but I was like fucking so excited. Just go. I was dating Leanne, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
And were you there? Yeah, you went to the show. And that back bar was so fucking cool.
That was our first year probably because we went on in 2003.
Yeah, it had to be 2003 because Georgia was born in 2004.
Yeah, that bar was. But plus, we do the show at 4:30 now, so it's different. It's 5:30 when the show's over. It's like the bar though. We did the show then from 9 to 10 p.m. every night, and it was every single night there was a party going on, and I'm like, fuck, I got 2 kids. I gotta figure out what the fuck we're gonna do the next day. Oftentimes we had no guests the next day, and my whole staff was just raging every night. And I would inevitably arrive at the show the next morning and there was nary a car in the parking lot. And I would get so mad. I was like, why the fuck am I the only one working here?
Do you remember when Ralphie fell down your stairs?
Oh boy, do I.
Did you ever see that, Tom?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that was, and then he claimed he did it on purpose, which is just no way that's true.
No.
And then we hooked him up to a lie detector test. Oh no, we hooked him up to a pie detector test. No, we hooked him up to a lie detector test, and we kind of went along with it because we started feeling bad for him because he was, the idea that Ralphie May. What did Ralphie weigh?
225, 230.
230.
No, I mean it varied.
230. How about 430?
No, it got at one point he got over 6. So.
Ralphie May was on your show after Last Comic Standing. Do not put the camera on me on this, okay? He was on, and Jimmy goes, Ralphie, how did you lose? And Ralphie goes, hey. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I fucking hey. I was like, what the fuck?
Bert and Tom and Bert. One goes topless while the other wears a shirt. Tom tells stories and Bert's the machine. There's not a chance in hell that they'll keep it clean. Here's what we call 2 bears, 1 cave.